بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, we are coming towards the end of the month of Dhul Qa'dah and soon be entering into the blessed month of Dhul Hijjah. So at the moment, preparations are already underway for the Hajj, and pilgrims have started to make their way to Makkah Mukarramah, to the Holy Lands, from all around the world, fulfill their fifth pillar of Islam, the Hajj. Hajj, a pillar that has countless objectives. Sheikh Ahmad al-Dahlawi, rahimahullah, he said that one of the main objectives of Hajj is to endorse the lives of Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam, because they are the imams of the Millat Hanifa, of the monotheistic way of life. Ibrahim Hanifa, in the Quran Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to them as the Imam, Ibrahim alayhi salam, to be the Imam of Hanifa. And Hanifa means that to focus solely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was sent to make this way of Hanif, this oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, focus just towards Him, as a thing that we should all follow and for it to become prevalent. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choose him? Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make one of the 5 pillars of Islam a reenactment of his specific footsteps? The things that he done in his life, the different phases of what happened in Makkah. Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from those who have to follow in his footsteps and do those same actions which Ibrahim alayhi salam, Ismail alayhi salam had done? So despite this story being 1,000 years old, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose those moments, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose those moments and eternalized those moments by linking Islam and our taqdeer, our faith in the Akhirah. That what's going to happen in the Akhirah will be based on us copying and following the tracks of the family of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So who was Ibrahim alayhi salam? Ibrahim alayhi salam, he was the son of a very famous person at his time. He was one of the people of high status. His name was Azhar. And he was the manufacturer of idols in his community. He would make all the idols, and they would purchase from him, and they would then go on to worship those idols and make them as their gods. So now he was well known and well respected because he was a maker of idols and he was a supplier of all the idols. So now you can see that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He speaks about the story, it's very, very amazing, very amazing. Now here his son calls his father towards Islam, but for his father, the financial interest for him is more important than belief in faith. And if we ask ourselves, how many times in our lives have we sacrificed our aqidah, our creed, the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We've sacrificed the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and abandoned, left all these things for financial gain. Many times. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala safeguard us. And Ibrahim alayhi salam, he was young at that time. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given him a qalb salim, a very sound heart. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ رُشْدَهُ مِنْ قَبْلِ. That we certainly had given Ibrahim alayhi salam his sound judgment, intellect, samaj, rushdahu. He was very intellectual. Allah gave him that deep understanding from a very, very young age. So Ibrahim alayhi salam began his uprising against these practices of idolatry from his own home first. And the Quran eloquently and very concisely, the Quran depicts and draws a picture of the struggle of Ibrahim alayhi salam against his community. And all the odds were against him. And Allah says that Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he addressed his father, he says, Ya abati, lima ta'budu ma la yasma'u wa la yubsiru wa la yughni 'anka shay'an. And he tells his father and gives da'wah to him, starts off. And then he debates the whole community. He debates the whole community at this young age. He debates the whole community. And he demolishes their idols. And then the reaction of the community was one of rage. And they attempted to burn him and threw him in the fire. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala altered the laws of physics. Ya naru kuni bardan wa salaman ala Ibrahim. Allah altered the laws of physics and ordered the fire to be calm and cool. And it never harmed Ibrahim alayhi salam. And the Quran also mentions about the debate which Ibrahim alayhi salam had with the tyrant of his time. And how Ibrahim alayhi salam, he was compelled to migrate all by himself, because at that moment he was the only believer on the earth. So he leaves his community, leaves his people behind. He travels the world searching for an alternative. But he sees that all the cities around the world, they had become carbon copies of one another in terms of disbelief and idolatry. There was no monotheism, no tawheed, no wahdaniyah. And he comes to Egypt, and there he just about escapes a tyrant who tries to seduce his wife, Sarah alayhi salam. And Allah's assistance is shown at that time as well. And then he travels to Sham. And there he begins to invite people to submit themselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to abandon and reject idolatry. And then, not long after, he is yet again ordered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that now you have to go on the move and you have to migrate to another land. And this time with your wife Hajj alayhi salam and son Ismail alayhi salam. And not only move with them, but to leave them there. And he had a son after many, many years. So Makkah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered them to go there. It was dry, desolate, there was no one there, lifeless, and lonely part of the world. And it lacked every single resource for human life. There was no water, nothing, no trees, no food, nothing at all. Just empty, desolate, bare desert. And there he was commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you have to leave Hajar alayhi salam. You have to leave Ismail alayhi salam there, and you have to walk away. All alone. And he never hesitated. Not a second thought. He submits. He gives them a small amount of dates and he walks away. So now Hajar alayhi salam, those dates have finished and her milk for the baby begins to run dry. and the baby is crying in hunger. So she decides to run between the two mountains of Safa and Marwa. Maybe she might see a caravan passing by and seek help from them. In desperate search for assistance. And she's worried on one hand because it's a mother's nature to worry. Mothers are built like that. They're always anxious. They're always worried about the well-being of their children. What's going to happen? But on the other hand, she's contrasted with the serenity of Iman. That she's a believer. She believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That despite the worry, despite there being nothing here, I know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will look after me. So she's not hopeless. She has certainty and she is doing what she can from her part. And while she's going up and down, searching and doing her part, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honors her by allowing the blessed water of Zamzam to gush beneath the feet of Ismail alayhi salam. And this water is very blessed, full of nourishment. It's a medication. When you drink, you get ajr, reward, and it has barakah and blessing. And this water has quenched millions of people since then, and will carry on to quench everyone till the day of Qiyamah. So now Ibrahim alayhi salam grows up, and obviously because there is water there, so a settlement begins, and people move or they start to trade more there. So now he's growing up, and it's natural. Any father will build an attachment to their children. Every father does that. Every parent does that. So now Ibrahim alayhi salam is building his attachment to Ismail alayhi salam. And we have to bear in mind that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given Ibrahim alayhi salam a heart of qalb salim, a heart of hanif, which is purely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now this was a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that nothing must enter into this amazing prophet's heart, which becomes a competition with the attachment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts him on a severe test. To test whether is his heart attached to his son or to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we, all of us, will go through that test in our lives as well. As our children grow up, we are faced with choices. Do we choose the happiness of the children, which is in contrast to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or do we choose our attachment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands him to slaughter his son. And he sees this dream a few times and realizes it is a wahy and revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it must be carried out. So he submits to Allah and he says to his son, Ya Bunay, O my beloved son, Inni ara fil manam, I have seen a dream. Anni adbahuk, that I am slaughtering you. Fandur mada tara. Tell me, see what you think. See what you think. And now Ismail alayhi salam, seeing that his father always submitted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so his response was also based on seeing his father's submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, Ya abati, O my beloved father, if'al ma tu'mar. Do as you have been commanded. Carry it out. Satajiduni insha'Allah min as-sabirin. You will find me, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, from those who are steadfast, from those who are patient. So Ibrahim alayhi salam does what we would term as unthinkable. Today there are people who object to this story of Ibrahim alayhi salam and say, how is it possible that a Nabi of Allah is going to slaughter his son? Impossible. So they reject it, not understanding this is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So today people would term the unthinkable. But he walks with his son to the place of slaughtering. And Shaitan, he makes his presence known at that moment and tries to talk Ibrahim alayhi salam out of it. But Ibrahim alayhi salam pelts him with stones. And he appears a second time. Again, Ibrahim alayhi salam pelts him with stones and a third time. And then Shaitan leaves. And now you can imagine the whole universe is waiting for this moment. What is going to happen? Is Ibrahim alayhi salam really going to slaughter his son, his only son at that moment, who was born to him after many, many years? It's like the whole world came to a standstill. And they're all anticipating about what is going to happen next to Ibrahim alayhi salam. So now his son was nailed, and the knife was placed on the throat of Ismail alayhi salam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions that moment in the Quran. Allah says, فَلَمَّا أَسْلَمَا وَتَلَّهُ لِلْجَبِينِ. When both of them submitted, not only the son submitted, not only Ibrahim alayhi salam submitted, but both of them, aslama. That's why we are Muslims, Islam, submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the truest sense. One is Islam, distinction between kufr and tawheed. And one is Islam, submitting each and every aspect of our will and desire to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَلَمَّا أَسْلَمَا, both of them submitted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَتَلَّهُ لِلْجَبِينِ, and Ibrahim and Ismail alayhi salam put down his head in prostration so that he is ready to be slaughtered by his father. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands Ibrahim alayhi salam to slaughter. Says, Ya Ibrahim, قَدْ صَدَّقَتَ الرُّؤْيَا إِنَّا كَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ. And Allah says, O Ibrahim, you have fulfilled the vision. You have fulfilled the command. You have submitted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah says, this is how we reward those people who do good. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends a sheep around from Jannah and asks Ibrahim alayhi salam to slaughter this instead of Ismail alayhi salam. For the purpose of this huge test was never about slaughtering Ismail alayhi salam, but to slaughter the love and attachment within the heart of Ibrahim alayhi salam, which belong only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So his submission made it clear that this goal had been achieved. That in his heart, it only belonged to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So during this moment in history, at that time, there were places of worshipping, venues of idolatry, and there were buildings made for sinful actions everywhere. And godlessness was everywhere. But the people of Tawheed, they never had a place to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where they could meet and pray to Allah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then commands Ibrahim alayhi salam to build the first masjid on this earth. And Ibrahim alayhi salam submits to Allah. So you can see submission after submission. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ أَوَّلَ بَيْتِ وَضِعَ لِلنَّاسِ لَلَّذِي بِبَكَّةِ. That the first house of worship established was in Makkah, Mubarak, full of blessings, وَهُدًى لِلْعَالَمِينَ, and a guidance for the worlds. That's where guidance spread, Hidayat spread. The nur of Iman and Islam spread from there. Now Ismail alayhi salam and Ibrahim alayhi salam, son and father and son, both work hand in hand, transferring one piece of stone to the other and building the Kaaba and raising the foundations until the Kaaba is standing as we see it today, which becomes the holiest site in the world. And Ibrahim alayhi salam, and then commands, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands Ibrahim alayhi salam that now you have to invite the world to the Kaaba. وَأَذِّنْ فِي النَّاسِ, and proclaim to the people bil Hajj, for them to come for pilgrimage, to visit this blessed house. يَأْتُوكَ رِجَالًا وَعَلَى كُلِّ ضَامِرٍ يَأْتِينَ مِنْ كُلِّ فَجٍ عَمِيقٍ. That they will come to you on foot, they will come to you on every lean camel, and they will come to you from every distant pass. from all around the world in all ways, all different modes of transport. And then Allah says, they may witness the benefits of this Kaaba, of this blessed place for themselves. So we hear a lot about the benefits of the Kaaba. But here, Ibrahim alayhi salam is told by Allah that you proclaim and you call people so they can see for themselves. So Ibrahim alayhi salam says, Ya Allah, how will they hear my voice? But he is told, you make the call and Allah will deliver the call. So Ibrahim alayhi salam submits and he stands on Mount Abu Qubais and he proclaims to the world with his own human voice. And he says, Allah has prescribed Hajj upon you, so perform Hajj. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised, Allah delivered this call to all four corners of the globe. And today we see people from Asia, from Europe, America, from Africa, all over the world. They answer this call in droves. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, inna alhamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. And they will carry on doing until the day of This was Ibrahim alayhi salam. Now we can see that when we go for Hajj, how we are reenacting every moment the life of Ibrahim alayhi salam and his family, who raised the bar so high when it came to submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and freeing our hearts from everything except for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why Mashayikh, they tell us to do the dhikr of the kalima La ilaha illallah. Why? La ilaha is none worthy of worship. You remove it. La ilaha, everything goes out. Illallah, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Mashayikh means adhkar. Why? To remove everything. La ilaha, everything is removed. And then illallah, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you go for Hajj, it's a reminder of what it means to rise beyond our customs, to rise beyond our normal life, to rise beyond what we are used to, and what it means to be steadfast when we tread the path of steadfastness all by ourselves. So this is a lesson for us, what it means to submit, what it means to remain steadfast. So many things were there, so many difficulties, every aspect, one test after the other, but he carried on. So these are the key values that every Muslim must adopt. And we follow this and we practice upon this by following the footsteps of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And when we do this, this brings a revival in our lives. It makes us resume our purpose of life. Because when we sit in our homes, in our daily routine, we tend to become soft. We tend to lose track. But when we go for Hajj, we visit the Kaaba, this revival comes in our hearts. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says in a hadith, then visit the sites, for you are following the heritage of your father Ibrahim alayhi salam. So Hajar alayhi salam, running between Safa and Marwa, and Ibrahim alayhi salam, and Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he says, this is why the pilgrims do the same when they go for the pilgrimage. That you're going from between the two mountains to follow Hajar alayhi salam. And when Shaitan came to stop Ibrahim alayhi salam from slaughtering, so he says that during the Hajj, we also stoned Shaitan following the way of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And when he was about to slaughter his son, and you were given the ram, this is also following the footsteps of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So you can see in every aspect, the Kaaba itself, you go and visit, do tawaf, answering the call of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So the footsteps of the family of Ibrahim alayhi salam have become an act of worship, which each and every person, whether you are an intellect, whether you are a scientist, whether you are a famous personality, if you want Jannah, then you must follow the footsteps of Ibrahim alayhi salam. There is no gain in Jannah without following that. And even the other Anbiya alayhi wasallam who came later, they also followed these same footsteps. Musa alayhi salam, Yunus alayhi salam. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu says Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was once passing through a valley of Azraq. And he asked, which valley is it? So they said it's the valley of Azraq. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, it is as if I can see Musa alayhi salam coming down from the mountain trek and he's calling loudly upon Allah and the Allahumma. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes at the mountain of Harsha and he asks, what mountain track is this? He is told it is Harsha. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, it is as if I can see Yunus alayhi salam riding a well-built red camel, wearing a cloak of wool around him, and the rein of the camel is made from the fibers of the date palm, and is calling upon Allah, labbaik Allahumma. So you can see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also mentioning how the other Anbiya alayhi wasallam treaded the same path and answered the call of Ibrahim alayhi salam, saying labbaik Allahumma labbaik. And Isa alayhi salam, when he returns to this world, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I swear by the one who possesses my soul, that Isa alayhi salam will make talbiyah. He will say labbaik Allahumma labbaik to perform Hajj or Umrah, or for both in the valley of Rawha. So now, why Ibrahim alayhi salam? Why was he chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That why was his legacy Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala eternalized in the form of the pillar of Islam, in the form of Hajj? And Ibrahim alayhi salam, he was a person who was wholesome. And if we start listing his qualities, it would be impossible. That's how many qualities he had. But there is one quality of his which appears time and time again, and this is submission. He was a true submitter to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So not the Islam by we say La ilaha illallah and we become Muslims and non-Muslims anymore. No. Submission in the truest sense that we submit our innermost to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Absolute surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where a person fails to see their own reflection in the mirror. All they want is what Allah wants them to be. Such submission that you fail to see your own image in the mirror, and all you focus on is you are what Allah wants you to be. وَلَقَدْ اصْطَفَيْنَاهُ فِي الدُّنْيَا. Allah says, we have chosen him in this world. وَإِنَّهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ لَمِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. And indeed, in the Akhirah, is going to be from the righteous. إِذْ قَالَ لَهُ رَبُّهُ أَسْلِمْ. When Allah said to him, his Lord said to him, Aslim, submit. All he says, Aslamtu li Rabbil Alameen. I have submitted to the Lord of the worlds. So he was given the command to migrate, he submitted. He was given the command to leave his family all by themselves in desert, in Makkah, and he submitted. He was commanded to slaughter his son, he submitted. Build the Kaaba, he submitted. Circumcise yourself at the age of 80, and he submitted. So if you want to become great, then submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without any hesitation or second thought. The Sahaba would say, Nahana Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam kana lana nafi'a. That Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would prohibit us from things which are of benefit to us. He would say, don't do this, even though they may be benefit to us. But they say, وَطَوَاعِيَةُ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ أَنْفَعُ لَنَا. Even though in the worldly sense, it might be beneficial to us. But they say, however, obeying Allah and His Messenger is more of benefit to us. You understand this? The Sahaba, they say that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would command us, prohibit us from something which was beneficial to us. But he says, the Sahaba say, obeying Allah and His Messenger was of more benefit for us. Is of more benefit for us. So Hajj teaches us to be like Ibrahim alayhi salam. So that when we return to our homes and we are told that such an action is impermissible, then we stay away from it. Such kind of financial transaction is not allowed, then we stay away from it. Don't dress like this. And such an environment displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we also learn to submit. We also learn to submit. There is one hadith, I'll finish off, of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. For all of us, the virtue of Hajj, what we get. Sometimes we say, it's too hot there at this time of the year. How will I? It is very hot now. Very hot. Probably one of the hottest Hajj. Very hot. So people say it's too hot. But remember, قُلْنَا يَا نَارُ sorry, what is it? The fire of Jahannam, أَشَدُّ حَرًّا. It's even more hot, even more severe. He says it's too expensive. Someone says it's too expensive. But what do we say? That the price of not going for Hajj is going to cost us far more on the day of Qiyamah than any money on this earth. And you say it's too many people there. But remember, on the day of Qiyamah, they are going to be jammed closely together. The sun is going to be right up there. So think of these things. Don't let worldly things stop you from fulfilling this Hajj. If Hajj becomes compulsory, go for it. Why? It's becoming more and more expensive. You don't go now. 2-3 years ago, 4,000, 5,000 you are going. Now, 10,000. Double the price in 2-3 years. So the more we delay, the more expensive it's going to become, the more impossible it will become. And that's a farad. So save. In a hadith, Rasulullah says, if you leave your home aiming for the Kaaba, then every time your camel raises its foot or lowers it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will write for you a good deed and will erase a sin. And when you pray the 2 rakat after tawaf, it was equivalent to freeing a slave from the children of Ismail. And when you stay in Arafah until the evening, Allah descends to the lower heavens and He goes to the angels about you and He says that my slaves have come to me in a rough state from every deep valley, hoping for my Jannah. So if their sins were equivalent to the grains of sand or the drops of rain or like the foam in the sea, I will forgive you. Allah says, so proceed, O my slaves, for I have forgiven you and you are all those whom you intercede for. And all those people whom you intercede for, meaning if they make dua for you while they are there, Allah will forgive you as well. So when they go for Hajj, ask them for dua. As for the stoning in Jumu'ah, every stone you throw, your major sins are forgiven. And when you slaughter the Qurbani animal, Allah will give you the reward for this. The reward for Qurbani is saved with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as for shaving your head, every strand of hair, a good deed is written and a sin is erased. As for doing tawaf of the Kaaba, then by this time you are completely sinless. You've done everything. Now you've come for the tawaf around the Kaaba at the end. Now you are completely sinless. And an angel comes and places his hand between your shoulders, saying, work hard in doing good deeds in the days to come, for all the sins of your past have been forgiven. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take us for Hajj. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept Hajj of all those people who are there. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it a means of our hidayah and guidance.